everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name's Marina. I'm a certified lash tech based in Toronto, Canada, and I like making lash extension videos. And today we are going to be focusing on the topic of classic lash application, along with some tips to help them last longer, and also how to make them more dense. And I'm just going to be sharing a few beginner tips because every so often I do like to come back and, honor the beginners that are still looking for new and fresh videos. And every so often I do like to refresh my tips and update them a little bit. So today, though, I did want to kind of focus more so on how to make classic sets look dense. I know that, sometimes classic sets can look extremely natural. And if you're not too sure about the different types of diameters to use, different lengths, there are so many different kinds of diameters you can use for classic lashes. But in terms of making it look like a really dense look, almost like a hybrid look, especially for someone who has a lot of eyelashes, using 0.20 diameter can really give your set that dark look that some of your clients might be looking for, but they don't want to, get a hybrid or a volume just yet. They want to kind of start off with classic sets and then move up, but they want that darkness. Well, I would suggest using anything from 0.18 to 0.20. Now, the thing that you have to be very careful of if you are going to be using 0.20 is their natural lash and how strong it is. 0.20 is quite thick. I don't think that it's honestly good to be using it for people who have really thin eyelashes. I mean, in the past, I've had clients who wanted to use a 0.20 diameter, but then when I would see their lashes, when they would come in for their appointment, I would just express to them and explain to them that their lashes don't look like they're strong enough, and this could potentially ruin their natural lash. Granted, with that being said, I've had some clients who basically tell me, I don't care, I still want them. And at the end of the day, I usually try to honor what the client wants firsthand. Like, I know that obviously we want to be protecting their natural lash health. That is definitely my point, and like the way that I go about my business is to really honor the lash health. However, sometimes especially if your client has been getting lashes for a long time and they know what they want, they know what they like, and they've gotten this before, there are times where I'll just kind of be more lenient on that and just explain to them, if your lashes fall out, like that's why you kind of sign that the consultation form or like the insurance form, because whatever happens, and someone is very adamant that they want this certain diameter, certain length, whatever it may be, that I'm not liable for it. So that's just something to keep in mind, and something that's really important because not everybody's lashes are the same. And now also this will go into people who have less lashes. So this client, you can see her natural lashes are pretty thick and they are pretty long. So because of that, using a 0.20 and going up to 14 is fine. Like, her lashes will definitely be able to hold them and they won't get damaged. But if someone has very little lashes, and even if you use 0.20, you are definitely going to still get a kind of sparse look. However, it will look a little bit more noticeable than using something like a 0.15 or a 0.10. I would not really use 0.15 or 0.10 for classic lashes unless someone's going for a super, super natural look. But sometimes the way I think about it is, if someone's coming for lash extensions, they're not really looking for the super, super natural look. They're looking for something that enhances their eyes, and 0.15 can do that. But in my experience, if they don't have a lot of eyelashes, 0.15 can look very, very light. And not only that, but it'll fall out very fast as well because it is a classic set. At least with 0.18, 0.20, you are still getting that darkness. And although it will last just as long as a 0.15, it still adds that little bit of pop that people are looking for. But something else that I wanted to recommend that I'm not doing in this video is actually just adding really thin spikes. So using 0.05 or 0.03 if you have a client who wants a lot of density but also doesn't have a lot of lashes and also have really thin lashes, you can always just opt out for spikes. Technically that's a wet set, but the positive part of that is you can also hike up your price because it'll last a little bit longer, and you can kind of rule out using classics in general, which is something that I'm probably going to be implementing in the next few months. I think I might be getting rid of a classic set just because sometimes, like, as someone who's been lashing for almost 4 years now, I don't know if it's really worth my time. But if people want something natural, I will try to upsell to a wet set because it technically looks like a classic set, especially if you add primer or bonder at the end of the set. You can also let your clients know that this will help them with like the retention. So even if like the price is higher, you can just say that instead of coming back every 2 weeks, you can come 2.5 to 3. But if you are a beginner, like beginner, and you're not really too knowledge, like you don't have that much knowledge on lash spikes and all that, because that does come into more like an intermediate thing, you can still practice with classic lashes and keep practicing. I always say that with any lash artist, you should always start off with classics regardless to get directional placement to be at its best for you, because directional placement is what makes your sets look really clean and really neat. So that's something that you would want to practice before going on into hybrid, volume, or mega volume. Something else that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of helping keeping the retention of the classics on the natural lash. So one of the mistakes that I used to make when I first started lashing was only adding glue on the bottom half of a classic lash. Now, because classic lashes and volume fans are completely different, there is the way I found it personally, like I know this isn't for everybody, but I tend to find that if you have a classic lash individually, you want to dip the lash extension into the glue a lot further than you would with a lash fan. With the lash fan, I usually just dip like the base of it like very lightly, pull out, and because there are like a bunch of small little fibers, the glue kind of travels up the base so that I don't need as much glue. However, with a classic set, it's only one eyelash. So what I decided to do is hold hold the top of the extension and dip as much of the extension as you can into the glue without getting any on your tweezer, and also going and dipping slowly so you're not getting too much glue, you're not getting any of the beads, but that extension has so much glue on it that the entire eyelash that you're applying it on will be able to attach to it. And if the entire eyelash can actually be attached to that one classic lash, it will last longer just because it has a better hold on that one lash. It is very difficult to do that though when your client has maybe like curly lashes or lashes that are facing in different directions. So in that case, I would still try to dip it in as much as I can, but you still want to focus more on directional placement. And the utmost important, and I say this important thing about high retention for classic sets is if the base is connected to that lash. You do not want that base to be lifting. Classic sets do not last very long. So if the base is lifted even just a little bit, it is so easy for it to just pop off when you're brushing or when they're brushing and when they go home. Even like during my sets, like all those little lashes you see on the under eye pad was from all the lashes that weren't sticking properly and that popped off when I brushed through. And that's because I didn't apply them properly. And so that's why it's also important to brush through your sets midway. You know, if you need to mist to cure that glue, but you need to brush through it to make sure that everything is sticking properly and that they have the utmost retention, because at the end of the day, you want these sets to last as long as they can, even though that they're classic sets. So another thing that I want to really focus on, especially with directional placement and just having a classic set look neat, and something that I kind of messed up in this video, is having a glue that dries faster, I guess. Well, okay, let me explain. You don't want it to dry too fast because, again, it's a classic set, so you want to be able to like attach it properly and then have it cure at a rate that is comfortable for you. But what I found is if it dries way too slow and you are isolating, when your lashes are pushed to the side while you're isolating that one lash and the neighboring lashes are pushed to the side, sometimes if the glue isn't fully dry, you will notice that when you go to brush through them, especially with a classic set, because it's not as easy to brush through them as like something with fans or a wet set, that the lashes are kind of leaning to one side or they start crisscrossing because the placement isn't perfect. Now, I'm not upset with this set. You can stay tuned to the very end to see the results. They still turned out really fire, and like this girl messaged me when she got home saying she absolutely loved this set and has never had a set looking this full in her life. So, and she's been getting lashes for years. So that was something that still I was like, okay, even though I wasn't completely satisfied with how clean it looked, it was still clean enough that the client left really satisfied. And honestly, I'm not mad about the set. It was fine, but in the future I think I would want a glue that maybe dries just like a tad faster. But again, you can use an accelerator, you can use a fan mister, like all those things will help cure your glue. But you just want to make sure that you're finding glues that are up to your standard of dryness. If you are a beginner though, and you are learning to apply and isolate, please get a glue that dries slower so that you have enough time to apply it. What happens if your glue is drying way too fast and you apply it on, it's not going to stay because that glue is now polymerizing way too fast. And polymerizing is what happens when there is too much moisture in the air, and then your cyanoacrylate that is inside of the glue, the main ingredient in lash adhesive, will start to cure way too fast. Even if they don't pop off, I've had situations where my lash glue was drying way too fast. I would brush through them during the appointment. There were no pop-ups. It was fine. But then in the middle of the week, I get a message, hey girl, more than half my lashes fell out, and so forth and so on. So obviously, like, sometimes even if you think that the retention is going to be fire during your appointment, it's not going to always be like that. So just please make sure that you are working with a glue that is drying at your speed. If you guys need any glue suggestions, all the products, even my tools, my lash trays, my under eye pads, everything is linked in the description box below. So please go ahead and take a look. All of them, the glue that I'm using in this video is the FORABELI Diamond Clear Lash Glue. So far, it's been my best go-to glue. I do find that sometimes with black glue, they can be a little bit more irritating. It's a little, they have more fumes. So using a clear lash glue, I don't have that black carbon to emulate those little fumes that can really irritate the eye and cause allergic reactions. Now, not all glues are like that. You can get hypoallergenic glues, I believe, that are black, but for me, I prefer Diamond Clear Lash Glue by FORABELI. It's affordable, but I have been noticing lately that I might need a glue that dries a little bit faster, so I'm going to be looking into that. But so far with the retention, if you have the right humidity and the right temperature, the Diamond Clear Lash Glue is great. If you also want to check it out, you can use my code MAR10 on V eyelash products. They have adhesives that I've used. I really like them. I love their lash trays. Their lashes fan very easily. And the only thing that I will say in terms of constructive criticism is their tweezers. I would probably stick to using them only for classic lashes. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I post every Sunday around 3:15 and 6:15, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you next week. Bye.